G'day you beautiful people, welcome back to my channel. Today we're going to be going over the version 44 patch notes. I know it's been a while since I've actually done a patch notes review, and I know it's a little bit late, but yesterday upon reading the patch notes, the further I got in, the more and more I started to think about everything, and it was really late in the morning and I didn't want to sit there for a few hours deciding on what my actual opinion of things were, because there are some changes that are a bit weird, and there are a lot of opinions going around on the internet at the moment. A lot of people hate some things, a lot of people love certain things, and I feel like I'm still a little bit torn on certain issues, but we're going to go over the stuff today, and I'm going to tell you what I think, and I would love to hear what you think. So leave me a comment down below on anything that we talk about today. Smash the like button if you enjoyed the video, and subscribe for more Paragon content. But with that said, let's get straight into it. Now the first thing we need to look at is the jungle changes. So obviously the jungle's getting a little bit of an overhaul. Some of the minion camps are being moved to provide better vision for junglers, which I don't really understand why that is a thing that is necessary, but okay, it's a quality of life improvement. I'm of the mindset that these sorts of quality of life improvements are not necessary right now. There are way too many issues that are pushing people away from actually playing the game. So, and they're not going to come back just because of some tiny quality of life improvements. One thing that may bring people back is the change from Raptors to Fangtooth. Now, from what I understand, I don't have the biggest background in MOBAs, but this seems to be based off of, or loosely based off of dragons from League of Legends. If anyone knows of anything else that more closely resembles the way that Fangtooth is going to work, please let me know. So if we go down to the bottom to the full patch notes and we look at Fangtooth, it is now a more important team-based objective to take. No longer does it just grant gold to the last hitter of each raptor. It's actually a team-wide benefit taking Fangtooth, and the more times you take Fangtooth, the more benefit you get. So the first time you kill him, obviously you get 4 power and 1,000 gold. Second time you kill him, you get an extra 4 power and 10% out of combat movement speed, which is a good little buff to have. Your third kill will give you an extra 4 power and 15% non-hero damage, so that'll be structures and minions, and I'm assuming Fangtooth and OP as well. And then upon your 4th and 5th and 6th kill, you'll get an extra 8 power every single time. This is kind of huge, because by the time you get to this point, you're at 20 extra power for your 4th kill. That is pretty much a card. If you go off of stats of cards, a lot of people don't build around stats that are actually on the cards, they build around the abilities that are on the cards. But this is actually going to make people a lot stronger, especially damage dealers. That's also going to make your tanks a little bit more deadly as well. It's just going to make your team do so much more damage, so it's actually a great thing. I feel like this is an incredible change, because we kind of got to the point where a lot of the games that I play, Raptors are kind of neglected a little bit. I don't think Fangtooth will ever be neglected. I don't care how long it goes on, I'm pretty certain that people are always going to go for Fangtooth. And like I said before, this is kind of loosely based off of dragons from League of Legends. This is something that I really want to see happen more in Paragon. More changes like this that I want to see implemented that have more MOBA-esque additions to the game. The only other MOBA that I actually play is Heroes of the Storm, so I'm used to sort of having multiple maps where every map has different objectives that do different things or different ways to win. There's maps that don't even revolve around you physically attacking structures, revolves around you capturing points, which then does damage to structures for you, which is nice. It's a very varied game, and it can be very fun. One day I would love to see multiple maps on Paragon where perhaps one map does not have an Orb Prime or a Fangtooth, but instead it has jungle camps that when taken actually put extra minions into waves, like siege camps in other MOBAs will give you another set of stronger minions that come into the wave, like even stronger than siege minions currently are. So I like this change very, very much. It cannot be a bad thing. I don't see this as being a bad thing in any way, shape, or form. The Hunter's Sight black buff is now being added to the offlane, and I actually really like this. It's probably going to be a bit of a pain in the ass for the people that always play carries. What it's going to mean is, the way that I sort of see it as being a really good thing, that a lot of people I don't think are thinking about, is that the jungle's been dumbed down recently. There's not been as big of a gap between the really skilled junglers and the lower tier junglers in comparison when talking about, farming and stuff, because let's be honest, you just run in there and you hit stuff. You can jungle with anyone. But with this buff, it means that someone that is rotating well as a jungler, you can actually get a lot more stuff done. Having this black buff that grants vision and applies movement speed slow on your basic attacks means that it's going to be a lot easier to get ganks off. So being a good jungler and rotating at the right times will mean that your team is securing more kills and doing better as a group. So as a whole, as far as jungle goes, I am quite happy with the changes that are coming through. The only issue I have is with the quality of life improvements of moving camps for better visibility, but it's not really an issue. It's not like they took the entire team off to work on that. There would have been a separate team working on it. It's not really an issue. The next thing that we have is the 5 reforged. The 5 original heroes or early game heroes that are getting reworks, and they are Twin Blast, Feng Mao, Grux, Rampage, and Gideon. Now, as far as Twin Blast, Gideon, Feng Mao, and Rampage go, I mean, it's good, but was it really necessary? As far as Grux goes, great, because he's sort of fallen off quite a little bit in recent times. So we'll go down the bottom and we'll have a look. Alright, so first up with Feng Mao. All in all, reading over everything that has changed with Feng Mao, with his new ability that gets rid of hamstring, which applies a movement speed slow and deals damage. I'm not certain why that was necessary, but it actually sounds a lot better than hamstring. It's a little bit more involved than what hamstring was. Reworking Earth Shatter, I think, is a great thing, but as a whole, it seems as though he's been made quite a bit stronger. Just having that movement speed slow, but then again, having his movement speed reduced from 740 to 700 means he's no longer the fastest hero on the board. So maybe that is actually going to level itself out. We'll have to wait and see how that actually works. But not bad changes. Gideon, on the other hand, he's got his burden being replaced by Void Breach, which I think is a great change. Gideon's always been good, but I don't know, in recent times with the issues they've been having since they changed the black hole to not do as much damage, a lot of people have sort of steered away from Gideon, because a lot of the times you sort of feel like unless you're doing damage with your Cosmic Rift, you're pretty much useless, because you black hole on someone, and generally if it's 20 minutes into a game, a carrier's just going to delete you anyway, so there's no point. But now having his burden replaced with Void Breach, which is an extra comet that he can shoot out, which comes down on a bit more of a horizontal trajectory, doing a good amount of damage, a really good amount of damage. It's going to do as much damage as what Cosmic Rift used to do. Cosmic Rift is going to do less damage now, but apply a movement speed slow. I think that's a much better way to go about doing things than the sort of soft lock burden, which was a bit of a pain in the bum. Now you can actually land your Cosmic Rift on people to slow them down with a little bit bigger radius, and then follow up with a Void Breach, torn space in, and use your black hole afterwards. So I think Gideon's changes are not necessarily going to make him a lot better than what he could potentially have been if they just changed black hole back. but it's just a bit better of a kit. It just makes a little bit more sense for him, and it just feels like it's going to be a bit better of a kit. As far as Grux goes, they're getting rid of his charge, replacing it with Crush, which is a short distance uppercut that will apply damage and a slight knock-up. I really like that. I did like his charge. I do like engagement tools, gap closing tools, but I feel like this is a little bit better. It's a little bit akin to the crunch knock-up. I guess they could have been a little bit more inventive, but you know, it's quite decent. The double pain having its cooldown increase from 3 seconds to 8 seconds is a good thing, because he's going to be having a lot more damage coming in. His smash and grab should hopefully work a little bit better now, and his Warlord's challenge, which is good, which is part of the reason why it's good that double pain has more than twice the cooldown, is going to apply so much extra damage. It's not funny. He's going to beat the absolute living shit out of you. So it is a good thing that he can't close gaps now. He's going to be doing a little bit too much damage. I think he's going to come back quite well. I think a lot of people are actually going to be using him. A couple of changes to Murdoch, just sort of more bug fixing than anything else. You know, mainly all around buckshot, not kind of working as intended, and adding a knockback effect to minions, which I think is really good, being able to push them off your tower. I'm sure we've all been in situations in the safe lane where your support has died, you're low on health, and you know that someone's just going to pop on with those minions and start wailing on your tower. You can hopefully at the very least push that siege minion off your tower so he's not doing damage. And we have Rampage. So Rampage is losing his jump, which I'm on the fence about. I like this new ability, which is called Rumble, where he pounds the ground with both fists, dealing ability damage between 2 hits, and applies up to a 40% slow to all nearby enemies for 2 seconds. And it's got a 7-second cooldown. I do really like that, but I loved his leap. I loved the fact that it had it was kind of 2 different abilities based on whether Enraged was active. That leap when Enraged was active was amazing, but I'm not sure that it's really going to be missed. Rampage also has some adjustments to his boulder throw, which should make him a bit more usable. King of the Jungle and Enraged are also getting quite substantial buffs. He's going to be something to be feared, especially when he's in the jungle, which is a good change. I like the changes to Rampage. Then we move down to Twin Blast, which I'm not going to comment on too much, because I think a lot of this post is being lost in translation. His new ability, Hotshot, for example, after hitting 12 basic attacks, next 12 basic attacks will critically strike for up to 25% bonus damage and lock to heroes. I'm not sure they worded that completely correctly. I really hope that they're not allowing you, once you land those first 12 basic attacks, to lock on to a hero and not miss, because for a low health enemy like a carry, 12 basic attacks is going to kill them. So having a lock on is just stupid. I'm hoping that what they actually mean is that the bonus damage will lock to heroes. You know, as in if someone else is around and you do the basic attacks on them, that damage is only going to apply to them. But I don't think it actually does work that way. I think it works in the former, and I'm a little bit worried about it, but we're going to have to wait and see. It might not be that powerful. The fact that his critical strike damage applies to structures means he's going to be very, very popular, much like Wukong was when he was deleting towers. He still kind of does, but nowhere near as bad as what he used to. I don't understand his double shot. I don't understand why you would make his auto attack fire 2 separate bullets, and one applies 75% of your basic damage, the other one applies 25%, and one applies on hit effects and the other one doesn't. Pretty much what you've done is taken one basic attack that hits for 100% damage and applies on hit effects, and then cut part of it out and put it onto an extra bullet. It's just, that is just weird. But yeah, Twin Blast is a bit weird. We'll have to wait and see how he works out. He's also got some minor homing projectiles on his Ventilate, which is interesting. Obviously, they've changed a couple of cards and gems, some bug fixes. One thing that I do take issue with is Colder Weak, for a reason that we'll talk about in a second. Some decent fixes in there. Now, one thing that I have a problem with, and yes, I know there are multiple trains of thought on this topic, and I'm probably going to have some people say you're an idiot. I'm going to have some people that agree, but there's different ways to take it, okay? Now, I understand. Now, we're talking about last hitting, okay? I understand that what Epic wants to do is they want to make Paragon the MOBA that puts you in the action. They want more action. They want you to be fighting heroes and taking objectives, like Fangtooth, for example. Much akin to the way that Heroes of the Storm, it's less about getting last hits and getting more powerful that way than it is about actually doing other things. Okay, that was rude. Doing other things to affect how the match plays out. Like I stated earlier, that there's multiple different maps and there's different things that you need to do. Some maps might require you to at certain times collect, while collecting gold off of creeps that you've killed or heroes that you've killed. You actually have to go and hand that gold in to a person who will then, fire off some form of damage at enemy structures. So I understand that they want to get it away from, the boring side of things, the big laning phase. But it's not just about, making the... whether it's an issue of people getting the majority of their farm and game time from sitting there last hitting. There's a lot more to last hitting than just getting some gold. Like stacking waves, getting a wave of, say, 4 or 5 minion waves to attack towers and just absolutely decimate things at the start of the game, slow pushing a wave, getting your wave to freeze. And it's kind of, for top tier players and people that already understand how to do it, it's not going to be an issue. This change is not going to really impact your ability to get a wave to freeze off. If you're a carry and you know how to get the wave to freeze off in front of your tower so you can safely farm, it's not going to change that. But it actually is, it's kind of detrimental to people learning these same things, because if you do know how to freeze off waves properly, you know that you don't want to do a lot of damage to the enemy minions. You want to just get the last hit, just get that last hit. Now you have things like, if you look up here, the change to Cold Weak. So generally you can execute a minion that's around about 20% max health. Having Colder Weak on will add an extra 50 health onto that 20%. So minions have around about, normal minions have around about 5 to 600 health. So that extra 50 damage equates to around about 10%. So that means that you can execute a minion at roughly about 30% of their max health, which means that your wave is always going to push against the enemy, which might sound like a great thing, but especially at the very start of the game, if a lot of the lower tier players that don't really understand exactly what they're doing all the time, they know that they want to shoot that minion, they know they want to get the kill on the minion, but if they know, if they don't understand why killing the minion at 30% health is not as good as killing it at 1% health, then they're not really going to learn. You're actually teaching them a very dumbed down system. And yes, like I said, I understand that you want to put them in action more and get them to fight heroes more, and that is great. I'm fully behind that. but last hitting is still a part of the game. Stacking waves is still a part of the game. Freezing off lanes is still a part of the game. And you can't expect people that don't already understand how to do that to ever learn if you're pushing an ideology where killing them at 30% health is better. They're never going to freeze waves. They're not going to stack waves as effectively doing that. So it's kind of... It just seems really, really stupid. Now, I understand that it's not a bad thing. For the way that Paragon wants to go, it's not a bad thing. I completely and utterly understand that. I just think that there's certain things that people are overlooking where it is bad. It's not the fact that they're pushing you into more action and fighting heroes and fighting objectives. That is the bad thing. That is a great thing. I love that. But I don't think you need to de-incentivize last hitting and the laning phase to push people into more objective gameplay and more hero on hero combat. Adding more things like Fangtooth is what is going to push people towards having more action-packed moments with objectives and hero on hero combat. Having a jungle that works like other MOBAs, where it's not just a bunch of stupid white camps, but a couple of different camps that, like I said before, like a siege camp that gives you a couple of big dudes with clubs that run down a lane and have 2 to 3 times the health of normal minions and jump on and attack structures and heroes. That is going to, push people into that objective combat. It's going to push people into the hero on hero combat while not de-incentivizing the laning phase itself and last hitting minions. If you want to move away from that last hitting, make gold come from somewhere else. Make our farming something completely different, and make minions completely about sieging. Okay, so the only reason why you would want to hit minions and kill minions is to actually stack them and get them to push objectives. Okay, and then what is the point of even having minions there, apart from getting on the tower, if we don't want to last hit them as much? Now, I get we still do want to last hit them because we want to get that health, but it's just a real mindfuck as to why they're going down this direction. I understand it can be boring sitting there in the laning phase. I completely understand that, but that's kind of what a MOBA is. There's a lot of time at the start of the game where someone has to be in a lane. Take Heroes of the Storm, for example. You don't generally, you don't get any form of gold. Your heroes just level up, and every time you level up, you choose one of, say, 3 abilities. So they have, let's just say, for example, one hero has 10 levels. They actually have 20 levels. At level 10 you get your ultimate, level 20 you get an upgrade to your ultimate. But all the way along, every level that you actually hit, you get an option between different skill trees. So there might be 3 skill trees. So let's say you hit level 2, you can choose the tankiness skill tree, you can choose the damage skill tree, or you can choose the movement skill tree, just as a vague example. They don't need to get last hits. All they need to do is have someone in lane getting XP. Okay, so it's not, it's not about getting last hits to get gold by an extra item. It's about having people actually be present to actually get XP. And everyone on the team gets the same amount of XP, and the teams level up. So you end up with a team that's on level 5 and a team that's on level 4. You don't end up with a team that has a level 10, a level 8, a level 7, a level 6, a level 5, and a team that has all level 10s. Everyone is even. But they still, you still need a laning phase. It's still a thing that's part of a MOBA. It is a core part of the start of a MOBA. You can't try to get people away from it completely, in my opinion. That is just my opinion. I know that it's probably not a very popular one at the moment, but this is freaking dragging on, guys. I think I've covered just about everything I wanted to cover. I don't want to go over the UI stuff because, as I said, I don't really care for any of it at all. I don't think it was really that necessary. One day, yeah, great, have an awesome HUD and everything, but there's more glaring issues right now that are not going to be fixed by adding stupid neon lights all over my screen. Epic, I understand that you want all these neon lights because it's easier for people's eyes to pick up on and notice, but who the fuck wants to have a screen that's filled with neon lights? It's disgusting, it looks ugly, and I don't like it, but I understand. Please prioritize balancing the entire game and making it more fun over HUDs in the future. I realize that, like I said earlier, it's not separate. It's not the whole team that's working on the HUD. There are separate teams working on different things, but it comes across as though you don't care about balancing the full game when you spend the amount of time that you spent on the graphical update to the game and changing the UI. When, as I said, there was more glaring issues like the extreme imbalance of your card system that puts it at a point where, at higher tiers of play, you end up with 10 people playing a game, all running Growth and Death, so that they can have Spriken and Growth Totem. Possess Spriken and Growth Totem. Why? Because it's fucking imbalanced as shit. We had issues with everyone running Godmother, and then you nerfed Godmother and made Growth Totem a little bit stronger, and now everyone runs fucking Growth Totem. It's just really, really dumb. But as I've said, I've ranted on long enough. The video is going very, very long. So that's going to be it, guys. Let me know what you think about anything I dribbled absolute crap about in the comment section down below. If you enjoyed the video, smash the like button. If you disliked it, smash the dislike button. Consider subscribing for more Paragon content. With that said, thank you so much for watching. I love your face, and I'll catch you in the next one. Peace.